Hi, this is Tim of the 1916 Company. Welcome and thanks for logging on. If you love this watch, email me, Team Mosso at the1916company.com for purchase pricing and availability questions concerning this watch. In 2016, Hublot launched the tonneau-shaped Spirit of Big Bang. 2 years later, it went one better with the Spirit of Big Bang white ceramic in indelible white ceramic, and that is the watch we have right here. Now, you may say that looks a lot like a Richard Mille, and yes, Hublot is going for that exact market. But this watch has horological credibility because whereas Richard Mille for, say, an RM11 needs to go to Vaucher for base calibers and then Dubois de Praz for the chronograph module, Hublot gets to shop in-house at LVMH Group and pick up one of the best chronographs ever made, the Zenith El Primero. So this watch, in addition to being stylish and yes, voguish in a Mille sense, also has horological credibility in a way not all RM watches do. So let's give it a shot. How big is it? Two different ways to measure. If you measure it from wingtip to wingtip, as I did for this purpose, it's going to be 47.8 millimeters. If you measure it from the bezel side to side, as Hublot apparently intended, then it's 45 millimeters. It's 14.8 millimeters thick, and then lug to lug tip 56 millimeters, being almost entirely sapphire, ceramic, plastic, and titanium. This is a watch that wears very light on the wrist. Also, it's got one of those agreeable qualities of an RM-style tonneau, which is a cambered-shaped ergonomic case. So even though it's a big watch, it wears well on my wrist. Now, it's a little bit too big for me visually, I think, especially in this white. All white and all black watches have a lot of visual firepower, so I recommend you have a wrist to match. Let's say 17 centimeters circumference and up. That said, the lugs do fit my wrist. It's a big watch. There's no getting around that. It's light, though. I wouldn't call it toy-like. It's not that light, but it's not an encumbrance. The strap, as is usually the case with Hublot, is pretty impressive. A very substantial piece of alligator leather in white with a white stitch. You can see it's all bordered and anchored by a rubber underlay. Hublot loves to talk about materials fusion. Its original product, called the Hublot, back when the company was called MDM Genève, but back in 1980, the Hublot, or porthole, was a gold watch with a rubber strap. It was definitely avant-garde at the time. Today, Hublot continues to meld materials. So here we have a ceramic case back, bezel, and case top. That is super hard and scratch resistant, so if you hate scratches on your watch, this is for you. The inner case that holds the movement and provides the 100-meter water resistance, that's titanium. These little composite inserts on the side are a plastic-like polymer. And then, of course, we have case back and dial side sapphires with a leather and rubber strap and a buckle that has a ceramic cap on it, but internally you can see this is actually blackened titanium. So that's what that is right there. You can see that inside it features the Hublot H in its chassis, and then it has two different pins to anchor the strap. You feed the strap through, you pin it down. Note that there's a rubber gusset, so those pins can't gouge the leather. And then when you close it and it's sized up, all of the extra strap length goes under the strap, so there's no need for minder loops. So it's a very clean system, and with the twin triggers, it's going to stay closed. Hublot, all about details. Check out those H pattern screws. You'll see them several places on the watch. Rolling around, you can see it's got that Mille-like tonneau form. And ceramic really is a great material. Ceramic is not as scratch resistant as sapphire, but it is the next best thing. So unless you are regularly jamming your wrist into a case full of sapphire and diamond, it's probably never going to show a mark. So it doesn't need to be refinished, which means when you buy one used, you know it has never been refinished. And look at these little screws. Note they're both polished and media blasted, and they're also H pattern all over the place. A little bit of relief in the bezel, giving it some visual firepower. Here we have the composite inserts in the crown and the pushers. These are also polymers. We have a screw-down crown. We've got a 100-meter water-resistant watch. There is lume. We're going to see it now. And notice that the chronograph functions are also loomed. An uncommon but welcome flourish. Now on the dial, Hublot actually does what you would want. You can see the El Primero mechanism underneath, including the motion works for setting the hands, as well as the underlying mechanism for the chronograph registers, and then we've got that instantaneous jumping minute hand, which you can see in action, and a skeletonized date wheel that allows us, and what we're going to do is we're going to make a quick adjustment here, just to make sure the watch isn't in the date change danger zone, and it was, which is why it's good we didn't use the quick set. FYI, when you're using a pre-2019 El Primero, that is before the caliber 3600, it is the intermediate position that sets the hand, and it is the outermost position that sets the date. Just keep that in mind, because you might go to set your hands, pull the crown out all the way, and then set the date at the wrong time. So just keep that in mind there. Now you can see we've got that little aperture where you can read the date and enjoy the mechanism, including the jumper up at the top of the dial. It's all grayscale, different finishes, polished satin, and a few different gray and silver tones. If you look very carefully, you can actually see that there is another sapphire sitting on top of the dial. So that little frame for the date, that is part of a sapphire that bears the scales. You can see the reflective metallization of those scales, and also that there is another sapphire, for example, where the Hublot logo is silk screened. It creates a cool three-dimensional effect. We have dial side assembly screws. We have these rhodium-plated steel indices, and note that the indices feature both satination and polish for a contrast in the way the light moves across them. You can also see a similar treatment on the hands at center, which have both satin finish, brushed finish, and media blast, and the movement looks good from both sides. It's an El Primero, which means it's a bidirectional winder. It's got a 50 to 52 hour power reserve, a 5 Hz beat rate, column wheel lateral clutch, 31 pivot joules, and this being a recent El Primero, it also has the unlubricated full silicon escapement that helps to extend the intervals between service, improve performance, reduce magnetic sensitivity, and reduce overall oscillating mass. The watch does feature a unique hybrid of a curb pin mobile index for timing adjustment, and then an eccentric screw for superfine timing adjustments. 10 beats per second, 5 Hz, 36,000 vibrations per hour. The distinctive double-step cadence of an El Primero. So if you look, for example, at the chronograph seconds hand in motion, you can see it sweeps a little bit more smoothly than a conventional chronograph. That's because of the higher beat rate. And the movement overall is potentially more accurate due to the higher beat rate and the higher frequency, making it somewhat less susceptible to low-frequency oscillations of the wrist that might throw off slower beating movements. It also allows the chronograph to resolve 1/10 of a second versus 1/8 or 1/6 or 1/5 from other chronos. Now here it's all grayscale. It's designed to give it that sort of RM-style look, but we know it's an El Primero. You can see the El Primero with a visible column wheel and lateral clutch. It's long been one of the best-looking automatic chronograph calibers. They're not always handsome. This one is. The column wheel feel is to die for. One of the best on the market, up there with the Lange L951, the Breitling B01, and the Rolex 4130 family. I realize those things have a hugely disparate price and positioning, but we're talking about column wheel feel here. And look at the attention to detail. Hublot with a combination of satin and polish. It's true, RM was first with this style, but it's also true that Hublot brings real watchmaking firepower, scratch-resistant ceramic, 100-meter water resistance that you will not find on an RM11, and quite frankly, a more attainable overall price and after-sales service costs. Sometimes it's not that bad to be the second. And this watch, by coming in second to market, winds up finishing first in my heart. Reach out to Team Mosso at the 1916company.com for purchase and pricing details.